The floor of the alien warship was cold and metal. Lights hummed above. The walls were smooth, glowing with strange blue veins. Inside the great command hall, dozens of alien officers stood in silence. Their eyes were locked on the middle of the room. There, on his knees, was a human, but he didn't kneel the way a broken man should. His back was straight. His hands were behind him, bound by glowing chains. His eyes looked around, calm, not angry, not scared, just watching. The guards around him shifted nervously. These were the elite soldiers of the Azari Empire, over 7 feet tall, covered in green armor, claws sharp as knives. They had conquered entire systems. But something about the human made them uneasy. Commander Kurzinra stepped forward. She was tall and graceful, her skin the color of cold silver. Her armor shimmered with metals. She was feared across the galaxy. Her name was enough to make planets surrender. She walked slowly around the human. "You were the last one alive on Outpost 17, she said, her voice calm but sharp. "Your people burned. Your weapons failed. You were outnumbered 1,000 to 1. And yet, you killed 200 of my best warriors." The human didn't answer. "Tell me your name," she demanded. Still silence. A younger alien officer stepped forward. "Should I break a bone, Commander? Maybe his tongue?" Kurzinra raised a hand to stop him. "No, this one is different." She looked down at the human. "You don't fear death, do you?" Finally the man spoke. His voice was low, steady. "I've seen it, held it, walked through it." The aliens glanced at one another. The human continued. "I've seen men turn to dust. I've watched skies fall. You think fear is your weapon? It's your weakness." Kurzinra's eyes narrowed. "You will kneel before me. You will beg, or I will make you wish for death." He smiled just slightly. "No," he said. A sharp noise echoed as one of the guards stepped forward and struck the man across the face. His head jerked to the side, blood running down his chin, but he didn't cry out. He looked back at the guard, still calm. Still smiling, Kurzinra tilted her head. "What are you hiding?" The human spoke again, slowly. "You think this is over, that you've won. But you don't even know what you've started." The guards raised their weapons. "He's threatening us," one of them hissed. Kurzinra held up her hand again. "No, he's warning us." She crouched beside him, her silver eyes meeting his. "Then tell me, what is coming?" The human leaned closer. "You wanted Earth to kneel. You thought we were soft, weak, but you never studied us. You never understood." Kurzinra smiled faintly. "Enlighten me." The human looked her straight in the eye. "We don't kneel." The room fell into silence again. No one moved. The air felt heavier. Kurzinra stood up straight. She was no longer amused. "Enough. Take him to cell 9. I want him broken by morning." The guards hesitated, just for a second. One of them whispered, "Cell 9? That's where the others," I said now. She barked. They dragged the human to his feet. He didn't resist. His body was bruised, his face bleeding, but he walked without stumbling. As they led him away, he turned his head back toward the commander. "I'll say it once," he said. "You should let me go." Kurzinra's lips curled. "Or what?" The Bium. Human just smiled again. "They're coming." Cell 9. Cell 9 wasn't just a prison cell. It was a torture chamber. Cold, isolated, no sound, no light. The walls could shift. The air could be poisoned or frozen or burned. It was built to destroy the mind, not just the body. They threw the human inside. 2 hours passed. Then 3, no screams. No cries. The guards watching from the surveillance screens shifted uncomfortably. "He's not moving," one said. Another zoomed in. "His heart rate is stable. He's meditating." Who meditates in cell 9? Council room, 3 floors above a Kurzinra, stood before the War Council. Generals, spies, scientists, all seated in a circle of tall glass thrones. "Commander," said an older male, "you have a human in custody?" "Yes," she replied. "He's different, stronger, wiser. I believe he's important." The council began whispering. Another general spoke. "They sent only one ship to Outpost 17. It carried only 50 humans. Why such a small force?" Kurzinro looked down. "Because they didn't need more." A silence fell. Then one of the scientists stood. "Commander, may we scan the prisoner's brain?" Back in Cell 9, a small spider-like drone lowered into the cell. It scanned the human's head with a soft blue light. Suddenly, the screen in the control room flashed red. "What's wrong?" a guard asked. The technician's face turned pale. "The scanner broke. It burned out." The supervisor blinked. "What do you mean?" the tech replied, voice shaking. "It touched his memories and fried itself. Like something inside his mind pushed back." Later that night, Karzinra stood alone outside the cell. She opened the door. The human sat in the middle of the room, eyes closed. "I came alone," she said. "No guards." He opened his eyes. "Why?" he asked. "I want to understand you." The human studied her for a moment. "You want to know why I didn't kneel?" She nodded. He stood slowly. "Because kneeling is the first step to breaking. You can't defeat someone who refuses that step." Kurzinra frowned. "But everyone breaks eventually." He walked up to her. "Only if they think someone is coming to save them." She paused. "And you think someone is coming?" He stepped even closer. "No." She looked confused. "Then why?" "I know they're already here." Suddenly, alarms began to blare through the ship, red lights. Emergency sounds, screaming. Kurzinra turned toward the door. "Report!" Voice echoed over the comms. "Unknown ships. They just appeared inside our perimeter. We didn't see them approach." Kurzinra turned slowly back to the human. His face was calm. "You asked why I didn't kneel?" he said. She stared at him. He leaned in close. "Because the sky belongs to us now." Final scene, cliffhanger. Kurzinra rushed to the control deck. On the screens, hundreds of dark ships hovered silently above the alien capital. They bore no flags, no signals. Just one symbol, a burning red star. One of her officers gasped. "We've never seen these before. How did they get past our sensors?" The human was brought to the deck, still chained. But the guards stood far back now. No one touched him. Kurzinra looked at him. "What are they?" she asked. He stared at the screen. "They're not here to talk." She whispered, almost afraid to ask, "What do they want?" He smiled, and this time it wasn't calm. "It was cold. Everything you took." The screen turned black. One of the ships had fired. A single beam of red light tore through space, heading straight for them. Commander Kurzinra was silent. The command deck was filled with smoke and flashing lights. Emergency alarms still echoed. On the giant screen ahead, the unknown human ships floated silent, black, and deadly. But Kurzinra wasn't watching them anymore. Her eyes were on the human. He stood between two guards, bloody, bruised, but not afraid, not shaken, just waiting. She turned to the officers. "Lock him down. Maximum security. I'll deal with him myself." Hours later, interrogation room. The room was simple. Cold, metal walls. One chair, one table, and chains. The human was strapped down. Wrists, ankles, even his neck. He didn't struggle. He just watched. Kurzinra walked in slowly. She wore her black combat armor now. Not shiny, not royal. This one was for war. "I've executed over 40 prisoners like you," she said, circling the table. "Human, alien, it doesn't matter." The human said nothing. She kept circling. Some begged, some screamed. One bit off his tongue. Still silence. "I'm giving you a chance," she said. Tell me who those ships belong to. The human finally spoke. Us, Kurzinra frowned. Earth, you don't have that kind of power. We destroyed your fleets. He shook his head slowly. You destroyed what we showed you. She slammed her hand on the table. Lies, we tracked every ship you had. The human leaned forward, even with chains digging into his skin. You never saw the real ones, he whispered. The Silent Class, the Black Cores, the Dark Fleet. Kurzinra froze. No one outside the High Council knew that name. How do you... But he was still speaking. Your people made a mistake. You thought Earth was like other worlds. You came to test our strength. He looked her straight in the eye. You never expected we'd test yours back. Flashback, months ago the Izari Empire had sent a scout fleet to the edge of Earth's system. Small, silent, watching, they saw Earth's old warships, slow, rusted, poorly armed. They laughed. That was the mistake. One day, the scout ship vanished. No explosion. No call for help, just gone. When the Empire sent another, it disappeared too. The third sent a final signal before it vanished. There's something in the dark. We never saw it. But it saw us. Now, inside the interrogation room, Kurzinra walked behind the human, studying him. You were captured easily, he smirked. Was I? She paused. You let us take you? He didn't answer. I should kill you now, she said coldly. He smiled. Try. The room went still. That word hit harder than a weapon. Kurzinra had broken warriors with her eyes. She had turned entire colonies to ash. But now this human, broken, bleeding, chained, dared her to try. She walked in front of him and raised her weapon, a sharp, thin blade, straight to his throat. Last chance, she whispered. Beg. He looked up, unblinking. This is the only time I'll give you a choice. Her eyes narrowed. What choice? He smiled again. Surrender. Bridge, emergency broadcast. An officer's voice came through the comms. Commander, those ships. They haven't moved, but... What is it? She barked. They're scanning us. Not with tech, with light. Our shields can't block it. Kurzinra activated the screen. The human ship still floated in silence. No movement. No energy spike, but something had changed. On the side of the lead ship, a symbol now glowed, burning red like fire. Kurzinra's hand slowly lowered the blade from the human's neck. She turned to leave. He spoke one last time. They're not here for me. She stopped. They're here for you. Underground holding cells. Moments later, a young alien soldier named Drixt stood guard outside the interrogation room. He had watched the entire session through the glass. His claws trembled slightly. He whispered to the guard beside him. Why doesn't he fear her? The other shrugged. Humans are mad. Maybe he wants to die. Drixt shook his head. No, he's not scared because he knows something. The door opened. Kurzinra stepped out. Her face was blank. Put him back in cell 9, she ordered. Yes, Commander. As they took the human away, Drixt looked into his eyes. The human saw him and winked. Drixt stepped back, shaken. Kurzinra's private quarters. Later that night she stood in front of her mirror. Alone. Her hands trembled. She had faced kings, crushed rebellions, burned cities, but this one human. He didn't break, he didn't beg, he dared her. And worst of all, he might be telling the truth. She closed her eyes. A soft voice echoed in her memory. Try. Her eyes snapped open. Was he a soldier? A spy? A weapon? Or something else? Final scene, secret transmission, deep within the ship. A hidden signal activated. A short message was sent that it was not from the Empire, that it was from Earth. He's inside. Phase 2 begins now. The doors to the lower arena slammed open. Guards marched down the long stairs, forming a line. The air smelled like smoke and oil. High above, alien officers watched from behind dark glass. At the center of the arena stood a single figure. The human. His hands were still chained, but his back was straight. His eyes scanned the room. Calm, focused. Commander Kurzinra stood on a high platform. She spoke into the microphone. You refused to kneel. The human didn't look up. You refused to speak, she continued, and now we bring you our strongest. A heavy thud shook the arena floor. Another thud. Louder. Then came the roar. It wasn't just loud. It shook the walls. Dust fell from the ceiling. Out of the far gate walked a monster. It stood nearly 10 feet tall, covered in black scales. Its arms were thick, its shoulders wide. Fangs dripped with green poison. Its name was Korvrax, the Azari's top weapon. Trained to kill, built for war. It had fought over 100 battles and never lost. Kurzinra's voice echoed. This is your last chance to beg, human. The human slowly raised his eyes to meet hers. Then he turned to Korvrax and smiled. Arena. Seconds before the fight, the guards stepped back. The gates locked shut. Korvrax's breath steamed in the cold air. His claws twitched with excitement. I've crushed bones thicker than yours, he growled. The human said nothing. I've ended wars with my hands. I've torn giants in half. Still nothing. Say your last words. The human tilted his head. Calm. Relaxed. Then spoke. You don't scare me. Korvrax roared and charged. Observation deck. Officers watching. The alien officers cheered. This would be over fast. They had seen Korvrax tear through tanks. Break metal. Crush aliens with one hand. But something was wrong. Korvrax had reached the human. His claw was raised, and then he stopped. Frozen. His whole body stiff. The human hadn't moved. He just looked up at the monster with steady eyes. What's he doing? One officer asked. I don't know, said another. Why did Korvrax stop? On the screen, the monster stepped back, confused, breathing faster. Then he swung, full force. The human didn't move. The strike landed across his chest. But instead of the human falling, it was Korvrax who stumbled back. What? Rewind that. An officer shouted. The footage replayed. Slow motion. Korvrax hit him, clearly. But just before impact, something shimmered over the human's skin. A faint pulse, like heat. No shield, no armor, just energy. Is that human technology? Someone asked. No, said Kurzinra softly. It's something else. Back in the arena, Korvrax growled louder, angry now, embarrassed. He grabbed the human and slammed him into the wall. Dust flew. The ground cracked. Still, the human stood. Blood ran down his lip, but he smiled again. Finished? He asked. Korvrax screamed and charged again, faster, angrier. But halfway there, he suddenly stopped and dropped to one knee. He grabbed his head. No, get out of my mind. The human stepped forward, slow, casual. I told you, he said. You don't scare me. Korvrax cried out, loud, painful. The monster, the unbeatable, backed into the wall, his claws shaking. He dropped his weapon. He turned and ran. The gate slammed open to let him out. The guards stared, frozen in shock. Korvrax, the beast of the Azari, the undefeated warrior, was running. Minutes later, medical Bay Korvrax curled in the corner of the room. His body was shaking, his skin steamed. He spoke in a whisper, over and over. He didn't touch me. He didn't touch me. Doctors scanned him. No wounds, no broken bones, no poison. Then what? I don't know. It's like his mind broke. Kurzinra's quarters. That night Kurzinra stared at the footage again. Over and over. No movement. No weapon. No sound. Just a look. A presence. A feeling. The human didn't fight with fists. He didn't need to. He did something to Korvrax's mind. How? She whispered. She opened a secret file. One only commanders had access to. Project Raven. The top report from her spies on Earth. Human soldiers sometimes speak of battle calm, a mental state where fear disappears. But in classified levels, a few humans don't just enter that state. They broadcast it, like a wave. They make their enemies feel doubt, confusion, terror, even break their will without moving. Kurzinra read one final note. The most dangerous human is not the one with weapons. It's the one who doesn't need them. Final scene. Prison corridor. The human sat alone again. Back in cell 9. He was quiet, breathing slowly. Kurzinra stood outside the cell, staring through the glass. You didn't fight him, she said. No, he replied. You didn't need to. No, she asked, almost curious now. What are you? He looked up at her and smiled one last time. I'm just the beginning. Amander Kurzinra stared at the thick metal door of cell 9. Behind it, the human sat, chained, quiet, still. 3 of her best guards stood by, but none looked at the door. None wanted to go inside. They had all seen what happened to Korvrax, the strongest warrior they had, and now, the monster wouldn't stop crying. Kurzinra slab, 1 hour. Earlier, are you sure about this? Asked Dr. Thalvik, a nervous green-skinned scientist. Kurzinra nodded. If he won't talk, we'll go inside his mind. The doctor looked uncomfortable. That kind of probe is dangerous, especially on humans. Kurzinra narrowed her eyes. You're scared? No, I'm careful, he said. His brainwaves are different, sharper, faster. I've never seen patterns like his. Kurzinra placed her hand on the table. I've faced wars. He's just one man. Plug in the psychic. The psychic enters. She was known only as Vila. A rare telepath. Thin, quiet, always wearing a glass headpiece that glowed with pale light. She had read the minds of murderers, war criminals, beasts. Nothing had broken her. Until now. Inside the mind room sat on a chair, chained and calm. Vila entered slowly. She didn't speak. She placed her glowing fingers gently on his head. A bright blue light surrounded them both. She entered his mind. Vila's vision. She floated in blackness. Silence. Then sounds, explosions, screams, fire. She saw cities burning, giant machines crawling through ruined streets, skies full of thunder and ships without names. She saw human soldiers walking through flames, not screaming, not afraid, faces covered in dust, eyes burning with something cold, something ancient. She moved deeper. The scenes changed. She saw Earth, not weak, but prepared. Underground chambers. Children learning war at 5 years old. Old men speaking in low voices about revenge. Then she saw the darkest part. A door. A locked part of his mind. She touched it. The door swung open, and then she screamed. Back in the real world. Vila's body shook. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Blood dripped from her nose. She ripped off the headset, eyes wide. She fell to the floor, gasping. Kurzinra ran forward. What did you see? Vila couldn't speak. She only whispered one word. Hell. Medical bay. Moments later, doctors rushed Vila into a healing pod. She was still shaking. Kurzinra stood outside the glass, her face pale. What did she find? Asked one of the council members. Kurzinra didn't answer. She was thinking. Thinking hard. Inside cell 9, the human sat alone, still smiling. As if he knew what Vila had seen. As if he wanted her to see it. The door opened. Kurzinra entered, alone. This time she didn't speak with power. She asked a question. Softly. What did you show her? The human looked up. Truth. Kurzinra stepped closer. What truth? That you were never ready, he said. None of you were. Not for what's coming. Her voice cracked. What is coming? He leaned forward. Us. Flashback. Earth, months ago in a deep black room beneath the Earth's surface. Scientists stood around a glowing table. A map of the galaxy blinked in front of them. Red dots. Azari. Strongholds. A general stepped forward. We send one. One soldier? Asked the advisor. No, the general said. We send a warning. Back on the alien ship, Zinra was shaking now. You were sent as bait. The human smiled. Not bait. He stood slowly. Chains rattling. I was the fuse. Bridge. Minutes later, the alien ship's alarms began again. Unidentified signals approaching. Shouted a guard. How many? An officer asked. The screen blinked. Then filled with red. Over 3,000 Zinra stormed onto the bridge. Where are they coming from? The tech officer screamed. Everywhere. The ships weren't coming in straight lines. They were appearing. From black holes, from gravity wells, from under moons. They were waiting there. All this time. Zinra's realization. She turned to the human. Dragged onto the bridge by 2 guards. You planned all this? He didn't answer. She walked up to him. You let us take you. He nodded once. You let us think we won. He stared at the ships on screen. I let you believe you had time. Final scene. The human speaks. Zinra whispered. What are they? The human didn't blink. Shadows, he said. Silent. Unseen. Her voice cracked. What do they want? He looked at her for the first time with no smile. Balance. The sky lit up. The first human ship fired. The alien council. Chamber was quiet. Thick blue walls surrounded the room. Light floated gently across the ceiling. Dozens of alien leaders sat in large silver chairs, staring at a screen showing Earth. Zinra stood before them, her hands behind her back. This human must be executed, one council member growled. He's a spy. He is a weapon. Zinra said nothing. She only stared at the image of Earth spinning slowly in the dark. One general pointed at her. Your foolish delay has caused this. Zinra turned slowly. Her voice was calm, but sharp. I delayed because he is not just a human. He is a message. Another council member stood. Then we will send our message. They activated the screen behind them. It showed 10 Izari war fleets heading toward Earth. Thousands of ships. Missiles ready. Cannons armed. A full invasion. Meanwhile, inside the cell, the human sat on the floor, his back against the wall. His eyes were closed. Breathing slow. The door opened. Zinra entered. You'll want to see this, she said. He didn't move. You're sending the fleets? We already have. Finally, the human opened his eyes. He looked at her, not with fear, but pity. She frowned. Why are you looking at me like that? He smiled. Because I've seen what happens next. Bridge. Of the lead fleet, near Earth, Admiral Zern of the Izari Navy stood tall on the command deck. Weapons hot? All ready, Admiral. The fleet floated just outside Earth's orbit. Give them a chance to surrender, he ordered. They opened a channel. A calm female voice answered from Earth's side. This is Earth Defense Command. We see you. We are not afraid. Zern laughed. You should be. Why? You're surrounded. No, the voice said quietly. You are. Confused, Zern looked at his officer. Scan the system. The officer's face dropped. Sir, there are ships behind us. What? How many? She looked up terrified. Too many to count. Earth's secret response out of the shadows of space. Hundreds of human ships appeared. Black, silent, sleek. They had no signal lights. No sound. They had been hiding in the asteroid belt. Inside, moons, even cloaked above Earth itself. And now they moved fast like a storm. Back on the alien council ship, Zinra stood beside the human, watching the live feed. Izari ships were exploding. Fleeing. Failing. The human tilted his head. You thought Earth was quiet. He pointed at the screen. But quiet doesn't mean weak. Zinra swallowed hard. We thought you were finished. He turned to her, serious now. You only saw the surface. You saw our cities. Our broken satellites. Our old ships. He took a step closer. You didn't see what we buried. What we built in the shadows. He whispered. You saw what we wanted you to see. Alien Council panic inside the council chamber. Shouting broke out. The fleet is being destroyed. We underestimated them. Retreat, retreat. A voice from the screen echoed. No retreat, no surrender. The human fleet had cut off every exit path. The Izari ships were trapped. Then, a final warning came from Earth. You crossed a line. Now you'll see what humanity becomes when we stop holding back. One final move. The Izari Council activated the doomsday weapon. It was called the Planet Shatterer, a giant solar-powered cannon deep in space. Target Earth. One general shouted. Kurzinra screamed. Nitrogen monoxide. But it was too late. The weapon charged. Lights across space dimmed. It fired. A beam of golden energy raced toward Earth. The unexpected, just before impact. It stopped. Frozen. The energy beam shattered mid-space, like glass. Stood a single, enormous human ship. Jet black, covered in red symbols. No name. No lights. Just power. It had caught the beam and destroyed it with ease. Kar. Zinro watched in silence. The human beside her whispered, we call that one, the quiet one. It doesn't speak. It doesn't warn. It just ends things. The aftermath. Every Izari ship was gone. Burning. Disabled. Or drifting. Earth never fired on civilians, but it had erased every military target in less than 6 minutes. Curzin returned. To the human, you could have destroyed us earlier. He nodded. We waited. Why? To give you a choice. Final scene. The message. Earth sent a single message across the galaxy. We asked for peace. You brought war. Now we offer silence. Choose it, or we end this game. They came in silence. No war cry. No warning. Just ships. Thousands of them. The Izari's backup fleet, the final ring, jumped into Earth's orbit. It was the last and biggest force the alien empire had. Each ship was a floating city, built for siege, designed for total destruction. They blocked Earth's sun, surrounded the planet in all directions, like a steel cage around a quiet beast. Commander Kurzinra watched from her council warship. She felt the weight in her chest. This is madness, she whispered. There's nothing left to prove. But the council didn't listen. They had lost face. They wanted revenge. They wanted to show Earth what it meant to defy the Empire. Earth's orbit control deck of the final ring. Admiral Yarrick stood tall. His ship hovered just miles from Earth's surface. All systems ready? Ready, sir. Any human fleets? None in sight. No ships. No fighters. Just satellites. Admiral Yarrick laughed. Good. Then let's begin. He raised his clawed hand. Target every major city. We'll erase them all. Back on the ground, Earth Defense Base Commander Harlan of Earth Defense stood calmly, staring at the sky. Around him, soldiers prepared. But there were no orders to launch. No panic. No movement. He sipped from a cup of coffee and smiled. They're in place? His second-in-command nodded. Every Watcher ship is locked. Ready. Good. Izari ships. Suddenly, problems begin. Sir, our sensors are glitching. What kind of glitch? Satellites are multiplying. By the hundreds, no thousands. Admiral Yarrick frowned. Impossible. Earth had less than 200. Sir, they're not satellites. What? They're decoys. And they're moving. Then everything changed. The satellites exploded. But not outward, inward, releasing clouds of black dust. Nanotech. Liquid machines. They spread fast. Within seconds, the dust covered the Izari ships. Systems shut down, cameras fried, engines locked. Weapons melted. Admiral Yarrick screams. What is this? He slammed his fist on the control table. Reverse shields. Fire everything. But nothing worked. His giant warship began to sink slowly, falling toward Earth. And then, it vanished. bridge of Kurzinra's council ship, she stood in horror as one Izari's ship after another disappeared. One blinked, gone, destroyed, not exploded, just erased. She grabbed her officer. Where are they going? No idea. There. Not crashing, no wreckage, no fire, just gone. She stared at Earth, now calm and peaceful. Then a human voice came through every channel. Your ships are safe. Everyone froze. We pulled them into sub-gravity folds. No one is dead. Yet. It was the same voice from the human defense earlier. We could bring them back, but that depends on your next move. A strange sight above Earth. A shape began to form. A massive ring. Made of light, not metal, dots slowly spinning, one by one. The captured Izari ships reappeared. Inside that ring, frozen in time, motionless, like toys on display, each one suspended in space, the message was clear. We can end you without firing a shot. Kurzinra looks at the human. She stood outside cell 9 again. The human sat calmly, watching the stars from the tiny window. You didn't destroy them, she said. No, why not? He looked at her. Because that would be easy. Kurzinra blinked. You're trying to teach us. Yes, she narrowed her eyes. Why not just kill us? He stood slowly. Because we were hoping you'd understand something. What? He stepped closer to the glass. That humans aren't your enemy. Until you make us one. Alien Council, silent and shaking, the Izari Council no longer shouted, no longer ordered attacks. They sat in silence. They had never seen anything like it, not in 1,000 years of war. They didn't even know what to call it. Final scene. Earth's new broadcast all across the galaxy. Screens lit up. The same message appeared in every language. We are Earth. You came with weapons. We answered with silence. Come in peace. Or don't come at all. Commander Kurzinra stood, alone in the war chamber. The lights above flickered. The giant screens that once showed maps of conquests now showed only one thing. Earth, still there, untouched, and above it. A glowing ring holding thousands of frozen Izari warships. No wreckage. No blood. Just stillness. She clenched her fists. Her empire had attacked with power, numbers, and pride. Earth responded without hate. Without noise. Just quiet control. Back. Inside cell 9, the human sat as before. Calm. Breathing. Not a scratch had been added since his capture. A voice called out from the doorway. Get up. Kurzinra stood there, without guards, without armor, without weapons. Just her. Her voice wasn't cold now. Was tired. Empty. Meeting room. Minutes later, the human followed her into a quiet chamber. He looked around. This the part where you pretend to negotiate? No, she said. This is the part where I listen. He raised an eyebrow. She sat across from him, slow and careful. Then, she did something no one expected. She dropped to her knees. Head bowed, not as a trick. Not to gain control. She meant it. Please, she said. Stop this. The human didn't move, didn't speak. He simply watched. The commander breaks. I have led hundreds of battles, she said softly. I've burned cities, ended rebellions, crushed fleets. She looked up at him, but I never felt small, not until now. He stared at her in silence. She spoke again, slower now. I thought your kind was weak. I believed the old stories, that humans had no order, no strength. Tears formed in her silver eyes, but I was wrong. And now, everything I built is collapsing. She placed her hand on the cold metal floor. I beg you, tell your people to stand down. The human's answer still, he didn't speak. Instead, he looked through the glass wall at the stars outside. Then quietly, you want peace now. After you tried to erase us? She nodded. Yes. He turned his head slightly. Do your people feel the same? She hesitated. No, not yet. But if you give me time, he interrupted. You've had time. Silence. He stood up, slow. And steady, I warned you. He stepped closer to the glass. I begged you to stop. He turned his eyes back to her, and you laughed. Kazinra tries again. I know what we did, she said. I can't undo it. But I can change what happens next. He stared at her long and hard. She looked up, trembling. For the first time, Kazinra, the feared commander, was just a person afraid, broken. Begging. The human took a long breath, then said something. Quiet. Soft. But it froze her heart. That choice is not mine anymore. Back on Earth, secret control room, high underground. Far below Earth's surface, a council of quiet humans watched dozens of screens. Every Izari move was recorded. Every conversation. Every reaction. A man in a black coat stood behind them. He watched Kazinra beg. He turned to his team. She begs now. But is it real, or just fear? Another replied, it doesn't matter. A quiet pause, then, begin the vote. The final warning back in the alien ship. A single message flashed onto the main screen. In every Izari language. You opened the door. We are what walked through it. Decide now, learn peace. Or lose everything. Kazinra's choice. She looked up at the human one last time. I can speak for my people. He didn't move. She said it louder, firmer. I will speak for my people. I will tell them we were wrong. I will make them listen. He stepped forward. Closed out his voice low, then make them, not with fear. Not with weapons. He leaned closer. Make them believe. Final scene. Broadcast to the galaxy. Kazinra stood before a camera. Her silver armor gone. Only her voice remained. This is Commander Kazinra of the Izari Empire. We came to destroy Earth. But instead, we met ourselves, and we did not like what we saw. She looked down, then back into the camera. The humans spared us. When? They didn't have to. They could have ended everything. But they offered something rarer, a second chance. Her last words echoed through every system. Let's not waste it. The galaxy was quiet. No war cries. No fleets, no battles, only whispers. Whispers of a name. A word that spread like fire in the darkness. Earth. Aftermath of the war. Commander Kazinra stood on the deck of her ship. She looked at the stars, still burning with distant fires. Her empire was broken, not by weapons. Not by numbers, but by one human. One planet, one silent promise. Galactic Council. Emergency meeting. Leaders from every major race gathered. The tension was thick. Single question hung in the air. What do we do about Earth? Many argued for revenge. Others begged for peace. But all feared the same thing. What if Earth fights back? The human's message back on Earth. The human who started it all stood before a crowd. His voice was calm, strong. We did not come to conquer. We came to survive. To remind the galaxy, strength is not in war, but in standing together. The dim crowd cheered. The galaxy changes, slowly. Alliances shifted. Old enemies talked. New pacts formed. Fear of Earth was real. But so was hope. Many wanted to learn from humans. To understand their strength. Kazinra's last words before she left the galaxy. Kazinra spoke to her officers. We fought giants. We crushed stars, but never faced one like Earth. This is not the end. It is a new beginning. Final scene. The quiet watcher far beyond known space. A lone ship drifted. No flag. No name. Just silent. Watching. For the next move. Peace had returned, or at least, that's what the galaxy believed. The Izari fleets were gone. Earth stood untouched. The human who had once been a prisoner was now free. And Commander Kazinra, once feared across systems, now walked the halls of her quiet ship like a ghost. But deep down, she knew something wasn't right. One last visit. Kazinra stepped onto Earth's surface for the first time. She was not a prisoner, nor a leader, just curious. She had been invited. Not by force. Not by treaty, but by the very human she once captured. She found him waiting. Alone, calm, sitting on a bench near a quiet lake. Didn't think I'd come, she said. He looked up. You always had questions. She sat beside him. The final conversation. I told the galaxy we'd changed, Kurzinra said. That Earth had taught us something. You meant it? He asked. She nodded. Yes, I saw what fear made us do. He smiled a little. That was the point. They sat in silence for a moment. Then she asked the question that had haunted her for months. Were you always planning this war? The human stared at the lake. Then whispered, no. Then, how? He looked at her, serious now. We didn't plan war. We planned what came after it. Kurzinra realized as she sat up straighter. You wanted peace all along. He nodded, but not by talking. He nodded again. You wanted the galaxy to see your strength first. She whispered, ... so no one would ever test Earth again. The human stood. He pointed at the sky. There are other threats. Bigger ones. Kurzinra frowned. Bigger than the Empire? He turned to her. His face was cold now, dead serious. We weren't preparing for you. Flashback. Earth's secret files. Long before the Azari invasion, Earth had detected strange signals from deep space. Not messages, not ships, but something. Worse. Something hungry. Something moving toward the galaxy. One dark system at a time. It didn't talk, didn't demand. It just erased whole civilizations. Gone. No warnings, just shadows. Earth knew. And Earth started building. In secret. In silence. For the day the real threat would arrive. Kurzinra's horror. You let us attack you, she whispered. Yes, the human said. You let us think you were weak. Yes, you used our invasion to wake the galaxy up. He didn't answer, but she saw it now. Everything made sense. The calm, the silence, the mercy. Earth wasn't showing power. It was training the galaxy. The final truth. You never saw us as enemies, Kurzinra said slowly. The human's eyes narrowed. We saw you as recruits. A new message appears back on Kurzinra's ship. A message played across every screen. A symbol appeared, one never seen before. Not Earth's flag, not a weapon, but a mark made of stars, rings, and a human eye. The message read, Phase 1. Complete. Phase 2. Galactic Defense Initiative begins. Below it, enemies come from beyond. Earth will not stand alone. Final scene. Deep space in the darkest parts of the universe. A new signal pulsed. Massive, slow, cold. Earth's scanners caught it. 2 words appeared. They're coming. And Earth was ready.